I'm KJ, and I want to tell you my story of how I went from being completely broke 3 years ago to now making $50K a month in online income. So here's how it happened. It all started around 3.5 years ago. I decided that I wanted to get married to my beautiful wife, Caitlin, and I realized that I needed to grow up. I was playing a lot of video games, playing a lot of RuneScape, CSGO, Minecraft, Terraria, the whole lot. I was really obsessed with those. I was also making like rap music. Like I was just doing nothing. It was my life, guys. But I realized like, crap, if I want to get married, like I've got to grow up. I've got to provide income. I've got to not be a failure to my parents and her parents. And so I started getting a little bit interested in kind of self-development and making money online, that kind of thing. But I ended up getting a part-time job where I worked as like a children's coordinator for a church because I love kids and I love God. And so it was a perfect fit just to make some side money. And I was making around, I want to say $1,600 a month, which was crazy low, but it was good. And I learned a lot. And so as I'm working this job, I started to have a lot of time because I had moved away from my wife who was still in college. And I had like about 6 months to just prepare for the adult life and get ready. So I was trying to stack up some money here and there. And by stack up, it was like $200 a month of savings. And I started reading these books. And so I got this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book started to open my eyes on how wealth is actually created and how money is created. And then I started to buy more books, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. The Seven Habits of an Effective Person, whatever that book is called. Good to Great. For the 4-Hour Work Week. You can see a lot of my books back there or over there. But I started to read these books and they slowly started to shift my paradigm of how I saw the world. So instead of seeing the world of just, someone got lucky and got money or they didn't, I started to understand these things called assets and liabilities. And then I stumbled across Naval Ravikant and I stumbled across his almanac. I started to learn about leverage and capital and scale and specific knowledge and authority. And I started to get obsessed with this stuff. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then I thought, well, how am I going to make money? And so I decided to go all in on trading stocks. I was reading some books on trading stocks. I'd already had been obsessed with it because I bought into GameStop a while back and made money off it, then lost it all. So I already was kind of addicted to the stock market a little bit. So I started getting into trading stocks. Now, that was a mistake. We'll talk about it later. But I read this book called Mastery by Robert Greene. And it basically talked about how you need to be a master in something. And that is where you'll find fulfillment, where you'll find success. You need to put in 10,000 hours. I remember reading it on a plane going to this like vacation that my wife's mom had got us. And I read that book and I was like, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going all in on trading. That is the thing I'm going to master. So that is when my journey really began. I started tracking my hours. So like at my part-time job, I would have like an hour here or there where I was doing nothing. And I would start tracking my hours of like, oh man, I'm going to study, this trading book. And I would put an hour in my like how many hours I spent like studying it because I wanted to hit 10,000 hours. And I think in that year, 2022, I put in like over 1,000 hours, which is pretty exciting because I started in, I'm going to say April. So I was pretty happy with that. And I started meditating. I started watching Hamza, started watching like Dan Coe, started watching Hormozy, just starting to get engrossed in this world of self-development and surround myself with good ideas and new paradigms instead of the old ones that I was obsessed with. And really, I started this whole idea that I wanted my life to be a video game. Like I wanted to start playing real life like a video game because I'd always been obsessed with games and always been extremely competitive. Like if the game does not have multiplayer, I'm not playing it because I had never understood the Skyrims and like the single player games. I had friends that loved them, but I couldn't do it. Like I had to be just either destroying someone or getting destroyed and feeling like I need to level up. And so that's what I really got into, was like treating life like a video game. So I would track hours, I would read books, I would study the stock market, I would actually trade in the stock market, and then I started to create videos because I thought, well, I'm learning a lot about this stuff, but the best way to learn is by teaching. So I started posting these videos on YouTube. And I remember in June of 2022, I decided to post every single day. It was like the busiest month of the year because we had VBS at church and we had like camp going on. But I was like, if I can post 30 videos in this month, I can post forever. And so I did. And by the end of that month, like I had a couple hundred subscribers, which might not sound like a lot, but in this niche trading thing that I was doing, like that was a lot. And the people who were following me were dedicated. So I decided to open a Discord. So I opened a Discord server and I started to get people joining left and right. And it was amazing. I met like one of my lifelong friends through that, Charlie. Shout out to you, Charlie. I freaking love you, bro. I love you so much. Yeah, I met one of my lifelong friends through that, one of my best friends. I actually met him in person. Like, that's another story for another day, but I met him in person. Like, we just met on Discord. It's just amazing. The community you can find online is insane, guys. You can find people just like you who are just as passionate about things, as opposed to real life where you're just kind of stuck with the friends that you grew up beside. But anyways, moving on from there, I made a trading channel and I kept getting obsessed with trading. But the issue with trading is that it's all about multiplying money, not making it. So I was multiplying a lot of money, but I wasn't able to make a lot because I wasn't starting with a lot of money. So it's like if you have $100 and you double it, it's only $200. You made $100. But if you have $100,000 and you double it, you made $100,000. You know. So I needed to make money, and I started to realize that towards the end. And I sold a little trading product, which was a database that I'd spent hundreds of hours making of like all these stock charts. And that was really my first taste of making money online. So if you look at my main channel and you see my first online dollar, that's where it was from. So I had this YouTube channel, had a couple of subscribers, I made a lot of videos, and I sold this trading database. So I had this small trading community, I had this small trading YouTube channel, and I had a lot of devoted followers, like cult-like followers, because I was really the only person posting videos about this really niche trading strategy. And so we had a great community. And I wanted to make money off of it so I could do it full time and really go hard for these guys. But I didn't know a way to do it because I didn't want to be a sellout. And also I hadn't made a lot of money with trading yet. So like I didn't have the authority to really sell anything. But I started thinking about it and I kept praying. And I just felt like God was calling me to take this stuff full time. And so I had saved up maybe like $3,000. And my wife was not wanting me to quit working. And one day she came home and was like, I think it's time for you to do it. Because I had been struggling. I wanted to do this so bad. And I just felt like I was just not in the right place, like going to work every single day when I could be just making videos and learning. And so September 22, I did it. I just jumped. I wasn't making any money online yet. Zero. I just took the leap. And it didn't really pan out, honestly. So I sold this trading database, and in the first week, I made, I want to say $700, and I was going crazy because that was like half my monthly paycheck, and I had done it in the first week. But the issue with that is I kept selling some more databases, but my following wasn't really growing. Like, it was the same people. So once the same people were supporting me and bought, that was kind of it. Like, they couldn't buy again. So a lot of people loved the product, and it was great and everything. But I only ended up selling a couple grand. And then the next month, I only sold $1,000. And so I was like, oh, no, this isn't good. Then luckily, I met one of my mentors, and he had a big YouTube channel. He actually went to the church that I went to. And so I was asking him throughout this whole process, because he's the only other entrepreneur that I had ever known. I was asking him for advice and all this stuff. And he actually needed help with something that I was learning, like doing YouTube thumbnails. And so he ended up saying, hey, I will come pay you just a couple $1,000 to come do this for me every single day. I was like, all right. So that was awesome. And it was a huge blessing because I was going to probably have to get another job because I failed. I really did fail. But you have to take those leaps, guys. You just have to, or else you won't progress and you'll stay stuck in a cycle of fear and always wondering what if. So I'm so glad I took the jump. But I just put my time on the wrong thing, which is trading, because I didn't have any money to multiply. I should have been focused on making it. So I started doing these thumbnails. I started learning a lot. I started getting really obsessed with that and really going crazy. And then from there, he started to entrust me with more stuff. He wanted me to edit YouTube shorts, edit some main channel videos. So I just started doing really just trading my time for money again, but in a better way. So I could work whenever I wanted to. It wasn't a whole lot of hard work. It was a lot of hours. It took 4 hours to really do everything every day. But I still had a lot more time and a lot more freedom. And so it was definitely worth it. So I did that for about a year. I continued learning, continued watching Dan Coe and the Hamzas, Hormozy, all that. And I just really was focusing on acquiring skills. So I knew I needed high value skills, but I wasn't really sure what those were yet. So I was learning how to do a little bit of advertising through doing the thumbnails and doing titles. And that's when I really discovered copywriting, because through that time, I was making YouTube videos the whole time. I just have a problem. I always have to be making YouTube videos. So I was making YouTube videos on my second channel, and I had this video called I found the way to make money, or something like that. And it got like 100 views or so. And I changed it to I found a way to make money. That was the title change. And then it hit 2,000 views overnight. And that is the one moment that shifted my entire outlook on things. And I instantly understood the value of copywriting. Like I didn't know what copywriting was yet, but I knew that day, like, holy crap. I changed one word and it literally like 20x this video overnight. And so I started to get really obsessed. I started looking into copywriting. I started watching all the copywriting gurus. And I'd heard about copywriting from Dan Coe, so that's kind of how I knew. And I'd bought his like writing course, but it wasn't really as, I don't know, I wanted more. And so I watched some of the gurus, and I ended up spending all of my money, like all of it, on a coaching program. And I went like in depth to buy this thing because I thought like this is gonna be it. Like copywriting is gonna be the skill. It's gonna make me a ton of money. Like I just gonna learn this skill. And the coaching program was a massive letdown, huge letdown. It sucked. Like the information was just not in depth. It was super vague. The community, like nobody was really winning in this thing. Like there was hundreds of people in this coaching program, even though the coaches didn't really coach you. Like you'd send in stuff and they'd be like, yeah, it looks good, bro. And I'm like, did I really pay thousands for this? But I realized that copywriting was still the thing though. So I wasn't going to give up. And so instead of just like feeling sad and getting pissed off, I just stayed in the community, made connections, and I started buying copywriting books. I bought a Kindle, which is like where you can read them digitally. And I just bought everything I could. I just kept spending money buying information, and I would buy every copywriting book I could, anything that even remotely had to do with copywriting, like storytelling, any of it. I would just buy it all, take notes, put it in my Notion library, and keep buying stuff. I bought some other courses that were actually pretty good for a couple $100s here and there. And yeah, I started to try to get some clients for copywriting. And so one day, after probably studying for just a month straight, going super in depth, of like literally transcribing Iman videos to see how they wrote his stuff. Like I just decided to send some outreach. And so instead of doing like the normal stupid, what are you doing with emails? I decided, why don't I just write them something and send it to them and see if they like it? Because honestly, I need practice. Like I need to get really good at this skill. That's priority number one, not even getting clients. And so let me just practice on real stuff and send it to people. So I did that. And through buying some old courses, I had like some semi connections. Like I had people's Discords, some like distant YouTubers Discords. And so what I did was I wrote a bunch of stuff and sent it to them. And of course I got no responses, but I kept following up. And then I remember this one guy, I sent him something and he didn't really care. He's a big YouTuber. He probably had like 100,000 subscribers. He didn't really care. But then I noticed he launched this new product, and one of the headlines was misspelled. Like it was supposed to say 100K and it just said $100. So I sent him a screenshot. I was like, dude, you probably want to fix this. This is pretty big. And he was pretty thankful. And because of that, I instantly sent him some more new copy because I figured he would check it out. And he did. And he didn't really say anything. But then a week later, he realized that, or a week later, he got back to me. He's like, hey, I see that you're really interested in this. I have a program where I'm trying to teach YouTubers, and I could use a copywriter's like help to kind of coaching them. And I was like, yeah. And so I instantly got him the opportunity just from sheer willpower and follow up and high value outreach. And so I started helping all these YouTubers with their sales pages. And you might be thinking, well, KJ, you're not even that good at copywriting. Well, these guys had zero copywriting. So I was qualified to help them, but they knew nothing. And so it was very simple sales pages, but I was cranking out sales pages every day. So sales pages, headlines, and bullets, I would just write over and over again. I would critique emails, do all of it. I started making resources for them. And I started to like post on YouTube what I was learning about copywriting. And then all the people from the old coaching groups that I was in, like multiple different programs, started asking me, how are you getting these wins? Because I would have like $1,000 paydays, $2,000 paydays, like just big checks, because I started getting referrals from those people that I did work from. And people started asking me like for help, because they're in these coaching programs that are not helping them. And they're like, dude, how are you doing this? And so I just would help them out for free. Just try to, show love, tell them what I was doing. I started posting on social media, posting on Twitter. I started making resources, and I did that for months, just helping people for free until I hit 10K a month. And it's all documented on my main channel. I hit 10K a month, and I was like, this is crazy. I'd been like 2 months since I really started copywriting, and I hit 10K, and I was like, this is nuts. But it was because I was so obsessed, and I had all the prior foundational knowledge and productivity and, focus, all that. So I hit 10K a month, and that's when I realized, wow, I can just really go all in on this thing. And so I managed to basically continue to go do less and less with the YouTuber that I was helping, as far as like the shorts and the titles and thumbnails. And so I would just basically got rid of all that, and to the point where I was doing nothing but copywriting. And then I had a big YouTuber with like 400K who was friends with the other 100K YouTuber who I did work for. And he was like, yo, let's talk. Like, what are you trying to do? He saw that I was kind of a killer, and he's like, let's just talk. Let's figure it out. And so he was on to a new offer. He really needed somebody as kind of like the right-hand man. But he didn't tell me that. Like, that's just kind of what he needed at the time. And I just told him, hey, I just want to do stuff. I want to write. Like, just give me stuff to write for free. And so I started writing everything. I wrote him via sales. I wrote him webinars. I wrote him YouTube videos, like emails. Like, I would just write for 2 weeks straight. I just wrote for hours for this guy, free, completely free. And then I started to get other clients just from other referrals. And so I told him, I was like, hey man, I've really enjoyed working on this project, but I've got other paying clients. And he's like, get back to me in a couple hours. I was like, okay. So a couple hours goes by, and he wants to get on a call, and he's like, hey, I'm willing to pay you, this amount of money base, and then a revenue percentage if you will come do this for me full time. And I was like, heck yes. And so I started working for this guy on his offer and scaling it, as fast as we could. So then we went from like 0 to maybe 90K in the first month, and then did over that the next couple months, just going ham. And throughout that whole time, I just learned everything about making an offer. Like, literally, I was helping create the course. I was helping create the traffic. I was helping create the sales process. Like, I learned so much in those 2-3 months working with him.
So after going all in with him and learning a whole lot, I started to really see the world differently. I started to really see how things were fit together, and I was getting better at copywriting. I was just learning these skills, and I started to think, man, I really could just do this for myself and make a lot more money. But also really, really love this mentor that I was working for. I didn't want to just kind of like leave him out to dry. So I kept working and doing stuff for him, but he kind of went on this like really long vacation. And I don't know, I could just tell that things were slowing down a bit. And I really wanted to try this coaching thing and see if I could launch my own offer to help copywriters, because the copywriting space was so toxic and no one was actually helping them besides my boy Tom. Shout out to Tom Stoic, you're a G. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this thing. And so I started coaching people for free. Then I started getting my first paying coaching clients, which was insane. Shout out to Matthew. He's the first one to like take a jump with me. And I think I charged him like $2,500 or something, $3K, I don't know. But I told him, I was like, look, dude, just trust me. And if you don't get results, like, I'll just give you the money back. And so that was my first client. And then I picked up Jason and some of the OG guys. And it's crazy to think, like, Jason, I don't know, dude. It's just crazy to see where my students have gone in 4 months. It's insane. So from there is when I started doing that offer. And I was still working on the other offer and doing my offer at the same time. And as I started to slow down, mine started to pick up. I was like, wow, I just felt myself needing to spend more time on this because it was so much higher leverage. So I kind of went all in. I started doing the YouTube videos about copywriting. I spent $4K on a coach to help me even launch the thing. Shout out to Christian, my boy. And things just started going like crazy. I started putting really just my customers first and serving people like crazy. And I think I got up to like 15, 17K. And then I started thinking about, how do I take this further? Because I had to shut down the coaching, and I had to close it off because I wanted to make sure my guys were getting results. I did that twice because it's all about the product. If the people are not satisfied and super happy, you're just in for a world of pain in the future. And you see that with a lot of gurus, is this huge rise and this massive fall because they're just not focusing on product, and it's not good. And so from there, I really focused on product for a while, and it was around like 20-something K, 25K for a couple months. And then I saw that Hormozy was doing the school games. And I just had this idea with my manager. I was like, dude, should we do this? Should we do the school games? Like, should we launch a low ticket? Because here's the problem is the guys who could afford my coaching, it was great. Like, they got all this help, and it was awesome. And then the people they were watching the YouTube, like they really enjoyed the stuff, but they needed more help. Like there's kind of a gap. Like a lot of people in the copywriting space don't have multiple $1,000s to invest. They only have a couple hundred. And so I was like, what if we help these guys out, make a course that is phenomenal for $100 and launch it on school and see if we can win the school games. And so we worked nonstop while doing like the main coaching thing, while keeping that up to date and keeping it, good and great for everybody. We then built the school out, launched the school sales page, and started making YouTube videos on it. We ended up 13th. Coming in 13th in the school games for like a small channel with only like 6,000 subscribers to start with. Like that was incredible. It was amazing. And so from there we hit, I don't know, $30-something thousand, or something around that. And then last month in May, we did 50K. So like 20-something K from the school and 20-something K from coaching. Crazy. And don't want to spoil anything too much, but this month is going to be even wilder in June. So make sure to watch my 0 to 100K series. But yeah, man, life is good, and it's only good because of God, though. Like, I want you to understand, some people who are in this game who are making a lot of money are miserable. That's what you guys don't see. These people are miserable. And they're in more pain the more money they have. Like, it's making it worse. And the reason why I've been able to do this, and I think just been so blessed, is because of trying to put God first through all of it. So it's like my core principles are to trust in God, to do what He wants me to do, and then to serve others, like to serve the customers. And like if you truly are looking through the lens of serving people, then you will make decisions completely different compared to people who are not, who are just trying to optimize for money. Yeah, guys, that's my story so far, and we'll see what it ends up being like next year. Hope you enjoyed.